1040 Now has got to be the most terrible tax software out there. I don't even know how they are still around at this point. You'd be better off using literally a pencil and a sheet of paper to get your taxes done than using 1040 Now. Now, if you're considering this as a tax software to file your 2020 tax return, I beg you to run. Stick around in this video if you're still considering it, and I'm going to show you why you should consider all other options. Hey guys, it's Justine with The College Investor, investing and personal finance for millennials. You know it's super important to get your taxes done right, and doing it online is probably what a lot of people are going to end up doing this year. 1040 Now is not the place to do it. For starters, let's talk about whether or not 1040 Now is free. You cannot file your taxes. There is no free filing situation with 1040 Now. They offer a basic flat rate for all filers across the board. So what's new in 2021 with 1040 Now? I was pleased to see that they actually did have the new tax law changes and the recovery rebate credit. If you did not get your stimulus check, that's all included inside of the tax software. But honestly, all these little nested pieces of information that you really have to weed through just makes it extremely difficult. There has been no updates to the user interface, and the user experience on a scale of A+ to F, this is like F minus times a million. Okay, let's talk about pricing with 1040 Now, and you're going to see that basic flat rate across the board for all filers. This is their homepage. Let's just talk about that for a second. This feels like I jumped back in time to about 1999. What do you think? So over here, you're going to go to pricing, and it actually gives you another window that pops up in your browser. And yes, this legitimately is how they are advertising their pricing, just with this very, very basic page. So it's $19.95 for the federal return, and then $17.95 for your state return. So you're going to be spending about, what is that, $20, $38 on this whole deal to get your taxes done through 1040 Now. All right, now that you've just had just a little bit of a preview of what 1040 Now looks like, let's go ahead and hop inside of their dashboard, and I'll give you a quick walkthrough of what this thing looks like from the inside.
Okay, so it's not very clear where to go when you're supposed to file your taxes with 1040 Now, but here it is in the upper right-hand corner. Click this to get started. And then you are going to create a new account. I'm going to go ahead and sign in and show you what this dashboard looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the inside. Very plain. It looks like this website was created with basic 1990s HTML code. And that doesn't really give me a whole lot of confidence that my tax preparation online is going to go smoothly. So there are a couple of different options here. Since I'm a returning user, I'm going to have a couple of different options. But what you're going to do if you are a new user, which please, I hope you're not a new user, you're going to create a new tax return. Okay, so it looks like there's some general instructions here, and then you're going to see at the top the various different sections of your tax return that you need to fill out. And this looks pretty similar in terms of section-wise, what is the same as other tax software, but obviously this is extremely outdated. So it does say, see what's new for 2020. What is this? Oh boy. Okay, so if you want some confidence with this tax software, it does appear that they are including those recovery rebate credits and making sure that you are able to get that if you haven't received your stimulus check already. It looks like you can do that through 1040 now. All right, so it looks like the taxpayer's information form is first. This is your basic stuff, and then you're going to move on to the next step. I wonder, it is going to let you skip around and then go back to the top. All right, interesting. So let's go back to taxpayer's information and we'll start filling that out. One good thing about 1040 now is at least they have an information summary. So after you fill out each of the sections, you can go through and review the information that you input. Make sure you didn't make any mistakes. If you did, it looks like you can go and use the back button, and then you're just going to have to click all the way back in order to fix anything. Next, you are going to work on the income section. So if you have a W-2, this is where you will input it. Looks like we got to click your new copy, add a new entry, and you don't have the ability to upload a W-2 PDF into this software. You're going to have to manually enter it. Okay, so after you file your W-2, it looks like it will be listed here. If you have multiple ones, then you would add that in. If you're married, it looks like you can add your spouse's W-2. Then if you have any 1099 interest forms, the INT forms, you can go ahead and click your new copy, upload it here, same deal. What I don't like about this already is that if you don't have these forms, it looks like you still kind of have to go through this next step, keep clicking the button. And that just makes for additional time that you don't need to spend on inputting these forms or actually going through these next steps. So it would almost be nice if there was just a list of, hey, do any of these forms apply to you? If they do, click to fill them out instead of clicking this next button all the time. Because here it almost looks like you have to input some of these things. What if you don't have a Schedule E income? And it almost appears like you have to input something. If you are a new user, this would be highly confusing. But even with this FAQ in this guide, oh boy, this just would be a lot of information to read through. And I'm not even sure it would get you to the right answer. Keep in mind, we are still in the income section here, so we haven't even hit deductions and payments because they're having us go through each one of these forms that would apply to the income section. Okay, now we just got to the deductions section. So this is going to automatically default to recommending this option if you want to take the larger of your itemized deductions or standard deductions. Well, let's see if we go with their recommendation. What does that do? It looks like it's going to have you go through itemized deductions here. So even though I said that I was a single filer in this situation, I still see a lot of things that would apply to a tax filing situation in which you are married. And that's just additional stuff that I have to weed through in order to get my taxes filed. So I don't like that either. We're finally to the summary page, so at least you can see this, and if you've skipped anything, then you click review. It would be nice to have a section like this at the beginning of each of the sections so that you could see what's coming up and what you can actually go through, like student loan interest deduction. If I had student loans, then I can go back in here and take that deduction. However, under this section, it says enter miscellaneous deductions, and it's asking for the form 1098E, which is the student loan interest form. But the only mention really of student loan interest is right here, kind of buried in the text. So if you didn't know what the form name was, it's very easy that you could skip over that. And the other sections of this tax software are going to operate in a very similar way. So here's the credits and tax section, and at least they do have a breakdown of each of these sections. Let me go back to deductions. Okay, I guess they did have a list of this. Oops. And they're going to go through all of these. So if you click this next button, it's just going to have you go one by one through each of these forms. And not all of these forms are going to apply to you. So you're almost better off just clicking the ones that pertain to your situation and filling those out, then coming back to this section and then going to the summary page to make sure you highlighted everything. And same goes for this kind of miscellaneous category, all other topics. So if you click that next button, it's going to take you through every single one of these forms, which is going to be a huge waste of time. So I recommend if you're using this, which I really hope you aren't, but if you're using this, I would just go through the summary page first and click on what pertains to you. At the end of it all, after you input everything, you are going to get over to this filing section, and it looks like they do have the option for you to do direct deposit if you have a tax refund. But as I input my W-2 form and some other things, I have not seen an area where it says what my potential tax refund amount would be if I'm getting one or if I owe anything up until this point. So it says the refund here to me would be $48.33, but as I was filling things out in other tax software programs, literally nearly all other tax software programs, they do have the refund amount kind of listed up at the top of the screen and updates as you fill in your information. So this software program is very outdated, and it's just not easy to see where the information is. I feel like it's kind of buried, and that's going to make your tax filing experience really difficult with 1040 Now. I would avoid this altogether.
So 1040 Now is good for just about nobody. Literally, you can consider anything else when it comes to tax software to file your 2020 tax return. Regardless of your situation, let's get with the times and find a software that is actually going to give you a valuable user experience and isn't going to overly complicate things for you. You want a tax software that is going to make things easy, simple, and just easy to understand when it comes to filing your taxes. Now, if you are still trying to search for the right tax software to file your taxes this year, don't forget we have complete reviews and video walkthroughs of all the major and minor tax software players on the market this year, and you can check out all of those reviews at thecollegeinvestor.com.